Have you ever stopped and wondered, am I on the right track financially? Well, we're about to figure that out. Today, we're going to go decade by decade, using income as a benchmark for 2026. Because this isn't just about spreadsheets and numbers. It's really about understanding the story your finances are telling at every single stage of your life.
So let's get right to it. Where do you stand? We're going to look at the data, for sure. But more importantly, we're going to uncover the key goals for each decade. The stuff that can really, truly shape your financial future.
Okay, but before we dive in, we have to get one thing straight. You're going to hear two words, average and median. Now, the average income can be kind of misleading, right? A couple of billionaires in the data can skew that number way, way up. The median, though, that's the number smack dab in the middle. It's a much more realistic benchmark for most of us, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off in the 20s, which is all about building foundations. Then, we navigate the 30s and avoiding the squeeze. After that, it's the 40s, hitting your peak, followed by the 50s, which is about preserving your wealth. And finally, we'll hit the 60s, and hopefully enjoying the freedom. Let's get started.
All right, let's start with your 20s. This decade is all about building that foundation. It's not so much about where you are right this second, but really, it's about where you're headed.
Okay, so check out these numbers for age 29. It's a pretty good benchmark for a young professional. The median income, that middle number, is about $52,000. Now, if you're living somewhere expensive, like New York or San Francisco, you might want to look at that 75th percentile, $80,000, as a more realistic comparison. And whoa, just look at that top 1%, almost 400 grand. You're probably looking at people in tech, finance, or maybe some really successful entrepreneurs.
And this quote right here just nails the whole idea for this decade. It's not about having this huge bank account right now. It's all about your trajectory. Are you learning? Are you growing? Is your potential income on a steady upward climb? That's the real win in your 20s.
Oof, yeah, look at that number. $766. This is a perfect example of how quickly things can get out of hand. A car payment like that can feel like an anchor holding you down financially before you've even really set sail. It's a huge reminder to be careful with those big, fixed expenses.
So your goals in the 20s really boil down to three simple things. First, just build the basic habits, automate your savings, track where your money goes. Second, keep your fixed costs as low as you can. We're talking rent, transportation. And third, and this is the most important one, prioritize building your skills. Job hop, take on new projects, do whatever it takes to increase your earning potential for the decades ahead.
All right, on to the 30s. This is what we call avoiding the squeeze. See, your income is probably rising. But guess what? So are all the pressures on that income.
Using age 35 as our benchmark here, you can see the numbers are definitely climbing. That median income is now a solid $60,000, and the 75th percentile hits that six-figure mark. The potential to really start building wealth is starting to accelerate now.
But here's the crazy part. Even with more money coming in, this is where so many people get into trouble. Why? It's simple. Spending catches up way too fast. You've got these huge life events, buying a house, maybe a wedding, having kids. All of it can stretch you super thin. This is the decade of lifestyle creep.
So how do you get through this squeeze? It comes down to three main goals. 1. Fight that lifestyle creep. A great rule of thumb is to save half of every single raise you get. 2. Get debt-free. Make it a mission to wipe out all your consumer debt, everything except your mortgage, by the time you hit 40. And 3. Save systematically. Try to get to a point where you're putting away 15 to 20% of your income.
And hey, don't feel discouraged if you can't hit that 20% mark right away. Just look at this. Even saving just $3,000 a year, which is only 5% of that median salary, can grow to over $600,000 by retirement, assuming you get average market returns. The power of just starting now is absolutely immense.
And welcome to your 40s. This is it. For so many people, these are the peak earning years. The focus now shifts from just saving money to really strategic, long-term planning. So at our age 45 benchmark, the median income has climbed another 11% to over $67,000. And you can see it all across the board. From the 75th percentile all the way to the top 1%, the numbers are getting pretty serious. You have more income to work with, which means you've got more power to shape your future.
So how do you actually plan for that future? A great rule of thumb to get started with is the 4% rule. The idea is pretty simple. You can safely withdraw 4% of your total invested portfolio each year in retirement. So if you have $1 million saved up, that's $40,000 a year you can live on. This helps you figure out that ultimate retirement number that you're aiming for.
And that leads us to our 3 big goals for the 40s. First, use that 4% rule to get a real target for your retirement number. Second, start planning for those big future expenses. College for the kids, paying off the house, maybe helping out aging parents. And third, use these peak earning years to just crush any remaining major debts. Seriously, the less pressure you're carrying into your 50s, the more freedom you're going to have.
All right, let's move on to the 50s. The whole game changes here. It's less about aggressive growth and way more about protecting everything you've worked so hard to build.
Now, this is fascinating. Look at the median income at age 55. It's actually dropped a little bit from the 40s. The data shows that for most people, median income actually peaks around age 52. So why is that? Well, this is the decade when more people start to step back from work, either by choice or sometimes by necessity, and that gets reflected in the numbers.
And this quote just captures the mindset shift perfectly. You're getting really close to the finish line. You do not want to make a big mistake by chasing some risky investment. The goal now is to preserve your capital and make sure it lasts all the way through your retirement. For a lot of people, this means shifting some investments into lower risk things like bonds.
But this decade also comes with a massive opportunity to supercharge your savings. As soon as you turn 50, you unlock something called catch-up contributions. This means you can put an extra $8,000 into your 401k every single year. Maxing these out is one of the biggest keys to making the most of your 50s.
And that brings us to our final chapter, the 60s. This is all about finalizing your plans and getting ready to actually enjoy the financial freedom that you've built for yourself.
Here they are, the 3 definitive goals. Number 1, have your house paid off. Getting rid of your biggest monthly expenses, pretty much the ultimate financial freedom move. Number 2, create a solid estate plan. This just makes sure your assets go to your loved ones without any issues. And number 3, the big one, your retirement is fully teed up. No more guessing, you know your numbers, you know your plan, and you're ready to ride off into the sunset.
So, we've walked through the decades, from building the foundations in your 20s to finding freedom in your 60s. Remember, this isn't just a bunch of data, it's a roadmap. Your financial story is still being written. So the only question left is, what's your next chapter going to be?